Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of March the 12th, 2017. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. What an exciting time it is. We've got a full moon right out of the gate. It is in the sign of Virgo. It is speaking with Saturn. So that part of it, not so exciting, right? In fact, this is very strong work ethic energy that is being amplified with this full moon that we are being asked to focus on. What is it that we want to be really good at? Where is it that we want to cultivate expertise? And what does that require? Well, very often it requires putting in the time. It really is that simple. And when it's a Virgo full moon at that, we become very aware of where it is that maybe we need to be paying a little bit more time, giving a little bit more energy, paying more attention to where it is that we want to see improvements and where it is that we want to see results. It also tends to happen right around this time that people find themselves needing to be busier in some way. So whether that is putting in the time in your workspace, or whether that is cultivating something in your own time that you feel will help you to establish your expertise, is part of how this energy can come together. Now, Saturn is speaking with this full moon. I think a lot of Saturn, and a part of what Saturn has to do with, is sacrifice. It has to do with understanding what's worth working for, but also at the same time, what isn't. What is it ultimately that you hope to manifest and be known for in a larger sense is part of what the planet Saturn represents, whether it is while it's speaking to other power players at any given time or in our own charts as well. But an important part of that is understanding what's not worth the energy, what's not worth the attention, what's not worth actually having that sacrifice being made. Some things are, but there are some areas where it can be wasted energy. This is that turning point. This is that sort of moment of acceptance and moment of reality. All of us in at least one area of life are going to be asked to make a choice, are going to be asked to either stick with it, right? Stick the course, as they say, or decide that there's a certain plan of action that has run its course. We also get to decide with this energy exactly who it is that we demonstrate ourselves to be. Saturn has to do with this concept of faith without works is dead. And I actually was meditating on that, particularly with this full moon, about this very notion of what does that actually mean? Faith without works is dead. Well, what it means is you can believe what you want. And that is a very strong principle, right? Like you can believe what you want, and that alone, you are who you are, and that alone makes you worthy of love. It's a beautiful spiritual principle. But there's another layer that says, or another perception that says, and they can actually work really well together, that says, okay, believe what you want, but what are you actually doing? How are your actions actually backing that up or not backing that up? I've been thinking a lot about this lately in light of this particular full moon, and as we've been reaching towards this full moon, and this idea of love and wisdom, and what does that actually mean, and how does that actually look like, and the different nuances and ways in which that can actually play out in our lives. And a big part of that is trust. Now, trust can be a very active principle. It absolutely is an active principle. It is having to do with understanding that whatever's playing out, however it may feel on the surface, even if it isn't exactly what it is you want, or even if it really is not what you want, it is part of moving your individual life towards greater love and greater wisdom if you let it, if you allow it, if you choose to go in that direction. So there's something very powerful that happens, and powerful things can really come together with this energy that speak to having this appreciation of where is it that actions are not backing up belief, are not backing up faith. Where is it that faith sometimes can be lazy? The sign of Virgo has to do with not being lazy, including in matters of faith and including in matters of trust. Where is it that, it's been said very famously that, you can pray to win the lottery, you can ask, you can do your rituals, you can set your intentions, but none of it matters if you don't actually buy a lottery ticket. Chances are it's not going to matter. Chances are, unless you actually buy the lottery ticket or have a lottery ticket, winning the lottery, your chance of winning that lottery goes way, way, way down. You're not even in the game without a lottery ticket. And that's really what it's about. Are you doing your part to be in that arena in which you desire to experience gains. And where is it? Again, that the gains have been had, that what it is that you were meant to do is done. When Saturn speaks with the sky in this way, we've got Saturn speaking with a full moon on one side. On the other side, we've got the Sun and Mercury meeting. So chances are some difficult contemplation and some difficult conversations are going to be a part of this. But a big part of the turning point tends to be recognizing what it is has run its course, what it is that you no longer want to do or meant to do or supposed to do anymore, and where it is now that you're ready to do things differently. Where can you really find that sense of closure, that sense of peace that comes when you know what your journey does not entail? That's a big part of a full moon as well. Full moons ultimately are about closures. New moons, new beginnings, right? Fresh starts, fresh seeds being planted. Full moons, things coming to fruition, culmination, things coming to full circle. There's an element here of having to take an honest assessment and honest stock in order to allow things to come to full circle. And a part of that honest stock is going to be just realizing what is not meant to be anymore. Now think about all those things in life, all those times in life where there was so much happiness and so much release and so much freedom when something ended. Whether it was a situation, whether it was a connection, whether it was a certain path you were walking, a certain job that you were in, whatever the case may be, a certain way of doing things. Where have there been times in your life that you have been filled with gratitude? If not immediately, maybe it took a minute, maybe it took a day, maybe it took longer. But where have there been times when you can see how what didn't work out or what no longer was, what ended, was actually the best thing that could have happened for you? That is what this sky is promising, is getting to that place of understanding how it really is a great thing and it really is a good thing, what it is that is no longer meant to be. People around me, myself included, have been getting sunburned. We are in Cancun. It is a place that people get sunburned. And so then after you get sunburned, there is that peeling process that happens, right? Even if you take the best of care of it, you do everything that you need to do, chances are you're going to go through a little bit of skin peeling. And it is as a snake, right? We call it serpiente, we call it snake, because it is really like witnessing somebody go through that process of shedding dead skin. Now, is it dead skin or is it basically skin that has no longer served its purpose? Is really ready to be released. It's like as if you are releasing some part of you. It becomes powerfully symbolic of that, just like the snake is, right? Just like the phoenix rising from the ashes. And every full moon is a chance for renewal. It is a chance to feel a sense of things coming full circle, a sense of understanding what you're ready to release. Full moons are a really good time for release. Full moons tend to be a really good time for any kind of intention or ritual or wish that you may make that involves eliminating a particular situation. Now, I don't mean it to sound like, you know, Terminator eliminate, right? But really, where is it in your life, whether it's a habit, whether it is a certain way of doing things, where is it that you are ready to bring closure to a certain area, that you're really ready to release that and to allow the proverbial dead skin to peel off so that something more vibrant, something fresh, something renewed, something healthier can be replaced in its place. Not too long ago, I posted a video and on social media. It was on my Facebook fan page. And it was about this idea of how there's a lot of stigma in certain circles on taking medications, for example, for depression. There's a lot of stigma around that. Especially I think about it like in New Age circles, about how there's this belief that nature heals everything and you just need to get out more and stuff like that. That has its value. It absolutely has its value and it has its merits. Go outside, get fresh air, get sun. All of that can be incredibly good for somebody who's experiencing any kind of issue, really. I mean, I think the sun is profoundly healing. Having said that, there is And there are times when it's okay to ask for help and to ask for the help that's available to you and to utilize means of help that actually are a little bit more traditional or a little bit more established or a little bit more mainstream or however you want to put it. If it comes down to it and you are in a space where you know that at least in the short term you could be helping yourself by going the route of medicine, not like new age medicine or traditional systems of medicine, but utilizing, the modern Western system. If that helps you, if it helps you to get through another day, if it helps you to get through another week, if it helps you to feel better right now, if it helps balance things out for you a little bit, there are absolutely times when that is more than perfectly acceptable. It is more than perfectly okay. I think about people like Robin Williams and how much better it would be if he had gone and had the treatment that he needed and he could still be with us. And there are lots of examples like that reach us very deeply. So this, with Saturn speaking, it does suggest that there may be a need, like some sort of an inner challenge towards getting at least the very immediate assistance that we may need for self-care and to affirm self-care. And ultimately there's an awareness of restriction and maybe an awareness of some less than ideal circumstances around this. And part of those awarenesses tend to come from our own messages that we've received and the things that we think ideally should be. Well, this is Saturn squaring this full moon. Things might not be perfectly ideal, but they can find their perfection in them. And if you can do what you need to do to affirm self-care to the best of your ability, then that really is all that is required. Self-care is a spiritual practice, and as a spiritual practice, affirm self-love. That doesn't mean it needs to look in this, whatever you think is the absolute ideal perfection, doesn't need to be that in order to be right for you in this moment. So practicing a lot of acceptance around that and the help that is available and on offer can be part of how this energy comes together as well. I also think of this as having to do with doing your best, surrendering the rest, not being too hard on yourself where you can, and that includes in your work. Chances are, if it's your work and you're doing your best and you are putting in whatever it is, whether you want to call it time, talent, cultivation, whatever that may be for you, this is this kind of sky that says, stay with that journey and know that that journey will have its payoffs. With Pluto speaking with this full moon, the payoff is there, the strength is there, and the chance for a real breakthrough as well is there, where you realize after a little bit of resistance, you actually realize like, hey, I actually know what I'm doing. I'm good at this. I feel strong when I do this. And that is a really good sign that you're doing the right thing. If you're doing something that makes you feel good about yourself, that makes you feel stronger within yourself, that helps you to bring forward things within you that you like and you're able to demonstrate, that is always a good sign that you are on the right track. And especially if it's something that's ultimately a part of putting love and wisdom in the world. And we do that in all kinds of ways. We do that in all kinds of subtle ways as well. And we do that in all kinds of indirect ways. And a lot of time, love and wisdom and putting love and wisdom in the world is like, it's not these big grand moments. A lot of times it is just being nice to the person who's, walking next to us, whether that's, figuratively or actually like literally. Expressing that little bit of kindness, expressing that little bit of a smile, expressing that online, affirming the people online. A lot of times we don't know people that we connect with online. We haven't met them personally or in person. And yet there can be a lot of love there, and there can be a whole lot of wisdom there as well. And the Mercury connection does express that online part of it as well. The online world, I think it's amazing that we as humanity have manifested the internet, because everything in our physical realm is ultimately an expression about what we believe about ourselves and what we believe about being a human being. And the fact that we've manifested the internet, I think, is an amazing symbol of our understanding of our interconnection with each other. But it's a symbol that ultimately we're learning how to use better, because it's a mirror. It is a mirror from every element of it. So it's a mirror in terms of the fact that we manifested this web that connects us to everyone and everything on the planet. It's also a mirror in terms of what we notice when we're online and how we perceive. We are at a distance. We are in our isolated worlds more and more, and we are reacting to what we see online, and we're reacting to everything that we come across more and more. It's less an interaction and more a reaction. And that ultimately informs us about ourselves as well. And then, of course, choosing what type of world in our lived reality, in our online, is there separation? Are we two different people or many different people compared to what's happening online and what's happening in real life? And where can there be more integration? How do we define real life? How do we define the digital, right? So all of these can be some very metaphysical considerations and questions. But the great thing is with a full moon in Virgo, it can ground us in reality. It can ground us in the present day and in our bodies. That really is where a lot of the power is. I was speaking to somebody the other day, a friend of mine who's a beautiful poet and writer. And, you know, we were talking about the things that she desires to do and wants to do in the world and hopes to do in the world. And I was telling her about how just recently, over the course of the last few months, really like the last 6 months, I've had 4 different speaking engagements in 3 different countries. And I've been able to go to these incredible places and be hosted and be welcomed and able to share really just astrology and what I love to do in what I've been doing forever, right? I've been doing this. And while I was in the process and while I was doing it, like, it never occurred to me to kind of stop and go, wow, oh my God, this is a big moment. I've got all these people, hundreds of people outside. I got this and that going on. Like even though that was my dream, and even though I remember envisioning that and glimpsing that many, many, many years ago and wanting to go in that direction, once I was actually in it, like, it really was just yesterday as I was telling her about this, that I was like, wow, I was just so in the moment that it was just like, okay, now I'm going to go do this. Now I'm going to go do this talk. Now I'm going to go sign these books here, do a book signing there. And really this journey took me across continents and took me to these different places. And I didn't realize in the moment that this is actually really amazing because I was just in the moment. And it was. And again, it was absolutely like what I had glimpsed in a dream almost that seemed so far away so many years ago. And then it was just my life. It was just like, okay, I have to go here. I got to do this. I got to go sign this. It was just incredible. And, we talked about this idea of being in the moment, right? Not making it like, oh, wow, this thing is happening. It's amazing. It's like, no, you're just in the moment. You're just living your life. And that's a big part of how the Virgo full moon likes to manifest too. It's just living your life, doing your thing, expressing what it is that you do and that you've been doing and that you're good at. With a Virgo full moon, you start to have that sense of, okay, what is it now? What has come full circle? But also, like, what is my life? What am I demonstrating in my life? Am I living the dream? Am I being this power player with Pluto involved? There's that question. Or not. Now, conversely, we were also talking and, I was telling her, you really should share more because she's such a beautiful writer and she does all kinds of amazing things with like beat poetry and stuff like that. And I was telling her, and she expressed something that so many people have to me before. When I meet people and they tell me they want to share or they do something creative in astrology or spirituality or otherwise, I always say share. It is so important for more people more than ever to do that, to put themselves out there, because then it raises all of us up. So put yourself out there and share. And the number one thing that people always say, they always come back with, is this fear of how people are going to respond to that. This fear of the kind of, feedback they may get from ultimately anonymous people that ultimately are not living in them, right? So what I mean by that is you have to live your truth and you have to live that fully. Be in that moment to moment. That is what matters. That is the priority. And let other people be on their spiritual journey. Let other people say what they need to, do what they need to as part of their spiritual growth and their understanding. Because ultimately, it only comes and only arises from a mirror. We're all reacting to what we see, and what we're reacting to ultimately is showing us who we are. So instead of giving so much energy to illusions and to other people's mirrors, instead focus on your truth and living in it and being it and expressing yourself from that place and putting in the time and doing the work. Just make it your life without necessarily taking on other people's mirrors that have nothing to do with you. And that's the advice I always give, but it was just so striking to me that this person who's so talented has so much to offer. And I've seen it again and again and again. People with so much to offer feel like they can't fully be in their truth and be in their light because they're getting caught up in the mirrors of others that have nothing to do with them. The great thing about this Virgo full moon, and I don't think it was an accident that I had all this conversation with her under the light of the growing full moon, but the great thing about this full moon, of course, is that we get to own our part. We get to recognize where it is that we're not living our truth in each moment, and wherever moment it is that is the greatest disconnect, we will be brought back into alignment to understand the power of the day and to understand the power of the work. There is a lot of power when you allow your daily expression to be something truly honest and something that really resonates. And when you allow what is superficial, what is not honest, what is not part of you or who it is that you truly desire to be or who it is that you're truly meant to be, when you don't allow yourself to get caught up in that whole illusion, or you allow yourself to go down a path out of fear of owning your light, well, there's something that happens when you recognize that. And there's something that happens when you are restored to self. The day becomes more magical, but also there's just so much presence in the day that the magic becomes an everyday thing. So much so that it becomes kind of normal to experience the magic of living the real you. Now, elsewhere in the sky, aside from that full moon, we also have Mercury changing signs this week. So right after this full moon, Mercury will move on, change signs, and meet a retrograde Venus in the sky. So this is really amazing. And I think about when you synergize, right? You bring it together. There's this thing called synthesis in astrology. Like, it's one thing to know what different aspects mean, right? It's one thing to say, okay, full moon opposing Mercury, right? That's like the technical way of understanding it. It's one thing to talk about all the things that that could mean. It's another thing to bring the whole sky together and synthesize the information. And as I look at this, one of the big themes that was coming up with this for me and that I spoke about for the Astrofabulous Superstar horoscope videos that are up for this week, they're up on my website, nadiyashah.com. But I spoke about them. And I spoke about this whole idea to them about this idea of love being connected to awareness and honesty. And this idea, actually, I remember being exposed to this idea through the classic book, The Road Less Traveled by Scott M. Peck. And this book's been coming up a lot lately. I think it's time to read it again. It is really good. But in this book, he talks about how love isn't just telling you what you want to hear. Love isn't just blind acceptance. There is this fine line between the honesty of love and someone who's critical and putting you down. The line isn't that fine. Like you know where a person stands on that based on your connection to them, based on your relationship to them. But when it's honesty coming from love, what it is ultimately is someone who's willing to give you their honest opinion, and they're willing to facilitate, to be part of your spiritual awareness and spiritual growth by not just telling you what you want to hear, by not just affirming only the very good and the ideal and the illusion, but actually at times calling you on what they are perceiving. Actually at times calling on you to be better, to be your best, to be your more loving best, to be your more wise best. When it's critical, it's not about helping you or being part of your journey towards greater love and greater wisdom. When it's critical, you can still use it to move you towards greater love and greater wisdom. But normally it's like after the fact, normally when they're gone. But when it's critical, it's more about pulling you down. But when it's love, it's more about helping you to become aware, because they know, they love you enough to know that you can be better. You can take greater ownership for what you're experiencing now and move your life in a much more positive direction through awareness and through an honest exchange. Love is honest. It's not just adoring. It's not just affirming. But there's an honesty that sometimes that can be inconvenient. It's not always inconvenient. Sometimes it's an amazing honesty. But when it's love, it's honest. And that, I think, is a big part of how this particular full moon is part of and feeding into the connection that Mercury and Venus are going to make this week. Having that contemplation, having that consideration. What do you have in your life and what do you understand as love? Where does it fall on either side of honest love or criticism to pull you down? Where are you in terms of the people in your life in that? Where are you in terms of your relationship with yourself in that and your love for yourself in that? Love is honesty is a big theme right around this full moon, and I think a big theme this week as well. On a little bit more of an immediate level, right? This is, look, just Mercury meeting Venus on its own, and a retro Venus at that is flirty, is a chance to flirt again, to talk, to get surprise messages from people you had lost contact with. And it is a chance to get, a little bit of your flirt on as well, particularly through words, through mind connections, which can have their reward to them. And also it is the promise, it is the chance to know more, to connect heart and mind, to know more about what's happening on a level of your feelings, and to know more about what's happening on an awareness level, to be able to bring words to what you're feeling. I remember meeting way back in the day, having a conversation with somebody, and he was talking about how he believes that that young people, right, their feelings are the same. They feel the same things. They're having the same human experience as somebody who's in their 40s or 50s. The only difference is that the older person has found a way to give words and to bring language to what they feel. They're able to express it through language. And because of that, there's an ease with which they're able to deal with things that feel very strong and indescribable to someone a lot younger. Well, that was their theory, right? I think there's something to be said for experience as well, but maybe language attributes to the experience also. These are the types of random conversations I find myself in, to be honest. It was just like that. It was like a random conversation. I was on like a day tour and started talking to somebody about this, which actually happens to me surprisingly a lot. But as I looked at this guy, I thought about this very idea of how, like, the expression, the language, having the words to describe what you feel is a powerful way to transform what you feel, to understand it differently, and to decide what meaning and power you are going to give it in your life. Now, sometimes that can be a heavy-duty process. And with this full moon, sure, normally it could be said to be heavy-duty, but I think the nature of Mercury, ultimately, there's a part of Mercury that can be very light, and in the sign of Aries, no doubt, it can be there can be a very spontaneous quality and a very freeing and restorative quality to this conversation between Mercury and a retrograde Venus. So if you find yourself in those random conversations with people, and you find it going in directions that are a little bit philosophical, a little bit intellectual, but a whole lot of heart and a whole lot of exploration, pay attention, participate, because chances are that very conversation is going to open something up in your heart that helps you not only to understand love more deeply and more intellectually, and to be able to articulate the nuances of love more fully, but also that alone can be a very powerful way that opens a door to allow yourself to experience greater love than you've known before. Well, thank you so much for watching. I'm so grateful for it. If you would like to watch the horoscope for your sign, the video for your sign, there's an extended, exclusive video available to my Astro Superstars only at astrofabulous.com. I hope you will log on. New people joining every day. I absolutely love it. And I'm so grateful to all my superstars, all my fabulous friends and fans. Really, you being here is everything. And your trust and enjoying the custom videos that I create, those exclusive videos that I create for astrofabulous.com, and that new venture means so much to me. It has been 60 days since I launched astrofabulous.com. This full moon marks 60 days, and that is incredible to me. I think about how, how quickly it came together, like how I knew it, I'd lost my voice, I understood that things really had to change dramatically if I was going to regain my voice, if I was going to find my authentic expression and move forward, and how quickly it came together, and how those first superstars, how much love and support and encouragement they have given, and how much in just 60 days, it's like everything changed. Everything changed. Like in one sense, everything changed in a moment, and then in another sense, all it took was 60 days and my whole life looks so different. And it's pretty powerful. It's this whole new part of my work, and the love and support it's gotten has meant so much to me. So thank you so much for that. 60-day anniversary. Wow, this is pretty cool. So it's astrofabulous.com or nadiyashah.com, and you can get instant access to exclusive horoscopes looking at the week ahead, just like the monthly horoscopes that are on YouTube, just like that, but every single week. So it's super exciting. Also, Synchronicity University is starting in less than a week. The next session, the Equinox event, starts this Friday, coming up super soon. And if you register for all 6 classes, it's 6 classes in 3 days, full video downloads. If you can join us live, that's great. If not, you'll have the video download to keep forever, and you can log on to synchronicityuniversity.com and check out those classes. 6 new classes chosen by you guys. It's going to be so much fun. It'll be starting Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I can't believe I'm doing this. Initially, I was going to do 12 classes in 3 days, and then people were contacting and saying, Nadiya, like, can you do less? That's a lot. I don't think I'll be able to stay online. Okay, I'll do less. So I cut back to 6, and now I'm like, wow, I'm going to do 6 classes in 3 days. Okay. So I feel a little crazy, but that's okay. Sometimes crazy is good. Crazy is fun. So we are going to have a lot of fun twice a day, over 3 days, and then a very special Equinox event. You can come to 1 class. You can come to all 6, register for 1 or all 6. I'd love to see you there. And again, classes chosen totally by you. So classes are, 1 class is on planets, 1 class is on houses, 1 class is on aspects and transits. 1 has to do with looking at the different schools and systems of astrology, like practical ways to understand these different systems of astrology. Secondary charts, including charts like progressions, lunar returns, solar returns, is 1 class, and another has to do with synastry and composite, also relationship astrology, looking at the relationship between 2 people and what's going to happen within that particular bond or relationship. So all chosen by you guys, plus a very special all access. Everyone who registers, even for 1 class, gets access to a very special spring equinox event on the 21st of March. It's going to be so much fun, as it always is. They're so popular. I love interacting with you guys live and in real time and learning together. It's always such a joy. And past classes are available for download as well. Synchronicityuniversity.com or nadiyashah.com. Well, thank you so much for watching. I'm so grateful for it. And I love this moment. I'm just feeling very in love with this moment in so many different elements of my life, and really grateful that in some ways I could start again. Like, I'm still building on what I've been doing for over 10 years, but the fact that I do get to start again and have all this love and support and encouragement and trust, well, it all means so much to me. And you being here right now, my hope is that this video in some way affirmed a wise and loving universe in your life as well. So thank you. Thank you for being here. It'll be a great week. Enjoy.